Pastor Shep Crawford. I pastor a church called the Experience Christian Ministries here in South Central LA. I also serve as the president and chairman of a group called United We Stand Up, which is a coalition of OGs coming together from different tribes to create peace in the neighborhood. And what I want to say is I agree with all my colleagues of all the things that we need to do to try to intervene and to prevent this. But what I want to do, I want to take this time out to actually charge the media as well, because a lot of times when we have tragic events like this, it's easy to get the media out, but there are very much or more incidents happening where people are talking about healing and having healing events and peace events, and when the media is called on, we don't see anybody, maybe one or two, and we don't really get any airtime. And so LA starts to look like this place that's just full of crime, and if that's what it's promoted, that's what it's going to be. But I want media to help us recognize the good that is happening in Los Angeles. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of more people out there pushing good than people pushing evil. More people pushing for the guns to be put down instead of the ones that are pushing for the guns to be picked up. And at the end of the day, it's trauma. It is trauma that we are experiencing. Let's say, for instance, those little kids that witnessed their father get shot. What are they going to do when they grow up? That could have been the story of the shooter. So we never know. It's not about gold. It's not about those things. It's a deeper void that is trying to be filled that we need to get together and heal. So me and my colleagues and everyone here, we're working daily to try to make sure we heal LA. And we want to make sure you capture that as well. To all the clergy and to all the faith-based organizations, let's continue to pray. Let's continue to get out and make sure that this city knows that we are behind them. And most of all, we praise God that we're able to come together today and talk peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor Crawford. Before our last speaker comes up, then I'll take questions after a comment. I need to say this before I forget to say it. On social media, I've seen many comments blaming PnB's girlfriend for saying where they were on Instagram and letting people know their location. Okay, what we're not going to do is have victim shaming, because she's a victim, her child's a victim, PnB, he's a victim. These are victims. They have a right to share their location along with us all. So at the end of the day, they're at the right place at the right time doing the right thing. But what happened to them, being murdered in cold blood, was the wrong thing to happen. And that's why we're here to speak out against this cold-blooded, cowardly murder. The spokesperson for Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, Brother Joseph Collins.
I want to thank everyone for coming out this afternoon. I am Joseph Collins, J-O-S-E-P-H, C-O-L-L-I-N-S. I am speaking on behalf of Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles Corporation. We are definitely send our condolences out to the family of the decedent. We know that this is a one-off type thing. This is not a regular occurrence. That's why it was important for us to open up today and show the community that we're strong and that we're moving forward through this tragedy. This is certainly a tragedy of epic proportion, and we call the perpetrators of this tragedy monsters, and they are a monster, and we are cooperating with law enforcement to bring that monster to justice. We want to put a chain on that monster, and we're cooperating to bring that monster to justice.
Question for Mr. Collins. Tell us about the security video from inside and outside the business. How helpful will that be?
We're not making any comments as regards to the security videos inside nor outside. We are cooperating fully with the police.
Have you turned over that video to LAPD?
At this time, we are cooperating fully with the police. They're doing their investigation, and we are on top of them to help them with their investigation.
But have you turned over the video?
We cannot say at this time. We are cooperating fully with law enforcement to bring this monster to justice.
So I interviewed with some former employee here and a local resident here, and they say that this restaurant is not some place you can just randomly walking around, take the food and get out. This is the original quote that I got. Do you have any comments on that?
we have tremendous security here at Roscoe, and what happened was someone who did a premeditated murder. They came in as a normal customer would come into a restaurant. They wanted what this person possessed, and they took it from this person and killed this person and killed the decedent in the process of it. Our restaurants are safe. They are family restaurants. We do great community services. This is not gang related. This is a one-off situation, tragic situation.
Can you tell us, sir, about the security that was in place yesterday? Are your security guards armed, and did they try to intervene?
We did have security in place on yesterday. They were at their post as assigned by the company. They did all they could. Once the situation became an active situation, to stop the situation.
Were they armed? Are your guards armed?
We cannot say.
Okay. And it seems like this is something that happened very quickly, and by the time they reacted, it was over. Is that correct?
When someone pulls out a gun and points it at you and just opens fire on you, those things are very, very active situations, and they're difficult to say what any of us would do at the moment that would transpire. But the security guards did activate themselves as quickly as they possibly could.
And Mr. Collins, you're saying guards. How many guards were here?
We typically have 3 security guards at most of our locations.
I can add this real quickly because this is very important because I don't work for Roscoe. I am actually a customer of Roscoe. This restaurant behind us is where my family and I eat at. We've always been safe. But the reality is rising crime and violence and homicides are rising throughout LA, from Beverly Hills to South LA. So it's very important that we call for more resources to help stem the carnage and increase in violence across the city of Los Angeles.
And a question for Ms. Hawkins. You said that the person who has the jewelry will not be able to wear it or sell it. Was it very distinctive? What do we know about
what I've seen on his neck? Yes, it is.
Can you describe it for me?
To me, it's just like a big gold chain, but I'm quite sure there's pictures on the internet. And if you think that they're going to be able to wear that if they've done something like that, no. And let me talk about witnesses. We have to protect witnesses and the information pertaining to the case. This is an ongoing investigation. So we can't have you giving out information about cameras, what video's been shared or anything like that. That can't be put out, you guys, because that interferes with the case. And they need this case to be solved. So those questions, please don't ask. Yeah, because that could be a problem. So please don't ask those questions. We say thank you. Thank you.
So I'm going to close the comment, and then we're going to conclude the press conference. Our condolences go out to the family of PnB. What happened yesterday is something that has affected not just his family and the city of Philadelphia, it's affected the city of Los Angeles and our community of South Los Angeles because he was a guest in our community and was gunned down by a cowardly act. But our community leaders, activists, and the ownership of Roscoe's are here to show our support and our concern. So with that, this concludes the press conference. I want to thank the media for covering it.
Thank you, Najee.
I'm going to go in here and eat right now because we are not going to be chased out and not feel safe in our restaurant to eat at by nobody.
Najee.
Yes, sir.
A tragic event happened here yesterday. Can you give me a synopsis of what happened here yesterday?
Well, just from what I've seen in the news is that obviously PnB, a prominent rapper based out of Philadelphia, was having lunch here with the mother of his child and his child, and someone came in and got into an argument and eventually shot him, robbing him and his girlfriend. So he was murdered in a family restaurant in broad daylight in front of his girlfriend and his child. So we're here to condemn that, to speak out against it, to let everyone know we do not condone murder in our community.
Okay.
Of anyone.
Now, during the press conference, you said something about let's not shame the girl for putting the location out there. But did that really play a role in this homicide?
Well, see, I'm not sure. No one knows. Everyone is making these assumptions. At the end of the day, there should be no victim shaming at all because they're all victims. So when victims are mourning and grieving, the worst thing we can do as a community and society is to blame the victim who's already suffered a tremendous sense of grief and loss.
Okay, and you mentioned that the council office of Marquise Dawson was here. How come no one from their office came spoke at the press conference?
Because we didn't even speak.
Okay.
I spoke as well as a community activist.
Yeah.
Just as important, the council office is going to introduce a reward motion. That's the most important thing they can do, is put dollars into helping catch whoever murdered PnB, this young rapper from Philadelphia, in a cowardly, heinous fashion. Look, Roscoe means everything. It means everything. It's an iconic institution that's known nationally as well as worldwide, but it's a family restaurant where I've eaten at this location many a time, never had any incident or problem. So certainly we want to ensure the community it's safe to eat at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. We must support black-owned businesses.
As I know it, a famous rapper was having lunch with his family, his girl and his children, and a perpetrator came in. His girl had tweeted or something where they were, or they did a check-in on social media or something like that, and a robber followed the check-in and came in and robbed him of the jury, murdered him and robbed him of his jury. Because Roscoe has been part of this community for decades, this is a one-off situation. This is not gang-related. This is just a one-off situation. It is a tremendous tragedy, and Roscoe wanted to let everyone know that they do not condone this type of activity, they do not condone this type of murder, and that they believe that the perpetrators of this are monsters, and they want the authorities to put a chain on that monster. Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles is iconic in Los Angeles. You're talking about a black entrepreneur who built this restaurant chain from a bootstrap to where it is today. It employs hundreds of people. Hundreds of people depend on Roscoe's for their personal livelihood throughout all of the chains. It's everything. It is iconic in the community, and the community supports Roscoe's, and Roscoe supports the community.
How long did it take before your officers found out that tragic event happened here yesterday?
That's a great question. I would say we found out within minutes of this happening. The security here first dialed 911 to try to get the rapper who hadn't passed away at the time, to try to get him some help, to try to get him, he had dialed 911, he was on with 911 trying to get help to no and bail, and then the corporate officers were notified.
Do you know how many people were actually dining at the time of this incident?
I cannot say.
Okay. But it was early afternoon, right?
It was early afternoon, around 1 o'clock or so.
All right, so typically you definitely have customers in there.
There were customers in the restaurant at the time.
Okay. Any final thoughts before you go on this whole matter?
The thing that I'd like to say is that Roscoe's is open for business. The customers are coming and going. There's a memorial set up for the communities that need to grieve. We'd love for you to come and grieve with us as we grieve for the family of Mr. Allen. We send our condolences to the family, and we are praying for the family, and we're asking the city, the entire city, to pray for our young people, because it is time for us as African American men to not do these silly things anymore. And this is a tragic thing, and it's time for us to come together.
Well, you just let us know that the LAPD is looking for a black person, I guess, as the assailant of the shooter.
I'm not saying that they're looking for a black person. I'm saying they're looking for a monster, and we need to put a chain on that monster, and we're cooperating with LAPD and the authorities to put a chain on that monster.
Basically another act of violence that happened on one of our people, one of our kings that was a leader, strong voice, in the music industry, really ended up getting his own some type of way, from another state. And, unfortunately that California lifestyle, came out, and unfortunately his life was taken for some senseless as a robber.
And what made you come out to the press conference today?
to be a voice and a face to be seen that's out here really doing the work. You know, we don't want people out here to create the narrative that really ain't out here doing the work. So when we found out a press conference was coming, some of the leaders decided to come out and just show face and show support and really stop the rumor control, you know, do the rumor control that we normally do out here, and just be that support of healing, because a lot of times we don't show up and that support of healing ain't happening. So we really want to be healing in our community. We want to be that change that needs to be seen and not heard. So, you know, we just came out here for more support.
Now, I was just talking to the spokesperson for Roscoe's, Mr. Collins, and during the press conference, and even in my interview, he characterized the shooter as a monster. I didn't give him any pushback on that because that's how he's feeling. But how are we supposed to treat these situations? Because we have victims on both sides, because this brother's going to end up in prison for the rest of his life. His family's going to have to suffer. What's your whole take on that type of language? You know, there's a monster out there we got to catch.
I mean, he's part of the reason why we consider monsters. If he's not doing nothing to help heal our community, put something more impactful than a fried piece of chicken in our community, then you part of the problem too. So, you know, we're not here to bash nobody and go back and forth, but at the end of the day, we got to be all humanitarians at the end of the day. I don't got to like you to love you. We got to understand that this love and this compassion for one another is what's going to shut this down. We shouldn't be that starving that we got to come over here and risk our life and take somebody's life for some jewelry, bro. You know what I mean? It's things out here that I'm doing, that I know firsthand that I'm doing as a citizen. I ain't selling dope, doing nothing illegal, and I'm sustaining myself. So it's things out here that we can provide, financial literacy that we can do, life skills we can get. There's money out here for everybody. We ain't got to sit here and rob nobody. We've been doing this for 40 plus years, and you know, being part of the problem ain't it now. We got to be part of the solution.
Have you put any thought into why crime and violence has went up during the last couple of years since COVID hit?
A lot got to do with drug abuse. We got a lot of substance abuse out here with our youngsters that's beyond the mindset of understanding. You can't talk to a mind that's boggled up and tore up off of lean pills and alcohol and weed and everything. And I remember when it was our era when we was doing our thing, and it wasn't them harsh drugs that they got out right now. We wasn't listening. So right now they numb, bro. We got a lot of mummies walking around here, zombies walking around here, and they don't want nothing. They don't want nothing that got to do with change, bro. So the way that we raised our kids was a lot to do with it too, because we got a lot of young adults raising our kids, and they growing up like siblings with each other. You know what I mean? It's not that parent-child separation that we used to have. It's no respect. You're not putting your pistol away, going to church with Big Mama no more. Big Mama hiding in the church from the kids. You know what I mean?
Now, PnB Rock is the second recent rapper from out of state to get gunned down in Los Angeles. Rappers from out of state are gonna be scared to come here after a while. What could have PnB Rock or the brother from Brooklyn that got shot and killed a couple years ago? What was his name? Pop Smoke. What could these guys do different when they come to Los Angeles and they want to visit our beautiful city?
You got to carry yourself with a different integrity. You're a king now. You're on a different status. Even though you came from that hood block, it's certain things you can't do no more. It's certain ways you have to do them same things to keep today. You know what I mean? If you didn't come with that entourage, you might need to have that entourage. If you didn't have that security, you might need that security. If you need that check-in, make sure you're doing that check-in properly. You know what I mean? It's a lot of things that people don't consider when they out there feeling themselves, feeling good about life. They're on a different mental elevation. They not in the gutter no more, so they don't have that survival mindset that they used to have because they paper long now, and they don't have that instinct that we waking up with every day. You know what I mean? And also, man, it's time to change the voice of the music, bro. You know what I mean? I'm a Christian hip hop artist. I do the street gospel, and you got to be the voice for the movement right now. So we got to be responsible for what we're doing out here with this music too. So.
Now, any words? Final words for the perpetrator of this offense?
Man, whatever happens to him, man, whether you get caught up in it or you get away with it, do something better with your life. Don't let that life go in vain. Be that change. Let that be a change that shifts you in a major way, where you do something real drastic in a positive way to be a redeemed person and really do something for your people, man. You know, that's all we can do. All my bad got redeemed, and I'm doing something good for my community now. And some of us don't get that opportunity. So whether you in the prison behind the walls or you out here on the streets with that second chance, do something better with it.
And let everybody know, what part of LA did you grow up and came up out of?
I grew up out of Watts, man. I'm off the east side over there by Locke High School, man. And on the blue side, but man, every color is my color.